Okay, so we will see the static pet or static net. What is the meaning of a static net? We use a static net for providing the access of our DMG servers, right? Like this is our DMG server. So if we want, like if we want to provide the access of this DMG server to the outside users or internet users, okay, so we have configured the static net or static pet here on the fire on a ASA firewall. So when they send, so these external users or internal users send the request on that particular IP address, so our firewall basically translate these IP and he just send this request towards our DMG servers. Okay, so directly we will see the practical on that. So let's configure our DMG server first. Okay, so static DMG server. I configure the interface, no set, and the IP address which is 10.2.2.2.100 255.255.255.0. I have added extra one to here, so I just correct it. Okay, I'll also configure one default route, right, towards the firewall. And next of IP address is the firewall IP address, which is 250. Let me ping my firewall. I'm able to ping or not. 10.2.2.250. Ping is succeeded. Okay, so I have configured the IP address and I have configured the default route. Okay, and ping is also working. Now the thing is how we can enable the HTTP service on this router. This is the command. Okay, IP HTTP server, and we also need to add one user name and password. Okay, so username is admin, password is Cisco, and that privilege we also need to define the privilege for that. Okay, the name admin, password Cisco, so username admin, after we define the privilege. Okay, here privilege 15 and password which is Cisco. Okay, by this we have added one user here. Okay, now how we can configure the telnet on router? So this is the command to configure the telnet. Okay, 024 password Cisco, login local. Okay, here we also need to define this thing, transport input. See, here we have to we can define either telnet only or either SHS only. So I am using here all. Okay, so I have configured the HTTP service. I have configured the telnet service, right? Now
Transport input all.
Transport input all means the thing is if we configure the telnet and SHS on a router, okay, so if we configure this thing, transport input all means it accept the telnet request on line BTY as well as it also receive the SHS request. Okay, if you are able to see, if I'll configure only SHS, then it is receives only SHS request on this line BTY. If I'll include only telnet, then it only accept the telnet request. It only if somebody send that SHS request, in that case he drop these requests. Okay, so here I am using all. All means it accept all these requests like R login, SHS, telnet, UDP, TN, V120. So these are the like main one, SHS and Telnet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I also need to enable the SHS on my router. To enable the SHS, first I need to configure this thing, IP domain name. Okay. After that, I'll configure the IP SHS version 2 crypto. I need to generate the key, crypto key, generate RSA modulus 102 code. After that, I'll just press the question mark here. So I'll need to define this journal keys, and I also need to define something here, level. So I'll just leave it level as a default. Okay, it will work with this also. So now it is exporting the keys, and it is also generated these keys. Okay. So that is the way to configure SHS. We already configured the username and password. Okay. We also need to configure the username and password. Okay, for SHS, but we use the same username and password. Okay, which we configured for HTTP server. So we have configured these services on DMZ. Okay. Now also let me write my configuration here. So if I'll go to in my inside router, enable here. If I run the telnet, if I am just going to type the telnet on this IP address, telnet will work, right? Username is admin, which we have configured, password is Cisco. So I get the telnet access of DMZ server, right? Because the thing is, this is my inside users, right? And this is also my inside network. This is my DMZ network. Okay. So the thing is, this IP is reachable from here. Okay. If I write this thing from my outside router, it will not work. Okay. Because the thing is, this is a public network and this is a private network, right? So this private IP is not reachable, not routed over public domain, right? So we need to configure the static net for that. We want to provide the access of these services to outside world. Okay. So how we can do that? I'll just log in into my ASA firewall. So you just remember the commands to configure the static net. Command is very simple. Okay. So this is the command, object network. I'll give the name to this network as a DMZ server. Okay. I'll define the host here. Here I'll define the IP address of my DMZ server, which is 10.2.2.100. After that, I'll define my net statement, net DMZ2 outside. Okay. After we just press the question mark here. Here we have a static keyword, right? So we use this keyword static. After we can define our public IP address. Okay. So let's suppose our public IP is 192.168.1.149. Okay. Let's suppose this is the public IP which we got from the ISP. Okay. We are done. So we are done with the that is static net configuration for DMZ server. Now there is also one more thing. See, the thing is, this interface have the security level 0, right? And this have a security level 50. and the traffic going from low security level to high security level by default dropped by the firewall, right? So to bypass this security level checks, we need to open one access list, right? So now we have configured one more ACL on my outside interface. Okay. So if I'll go to in my ASA firewall, so what happens in production, you always have some access group or ACLs which is already configured in outside interface. So we need to use the same access list. Okay, because on this interface we can apply only one ACL on one direction. So because this interface have two directions, like first one is inbound and second one is outbound. So means we can configure two access list. One in inbound direction and other one in outbound direction. Okay. So the thing is always you configure the ACL in inbound direction. Okay. Don't configure the ACL on outbound direction, because this is like not a good idea to configure these kind of ACLs in a interface. And also Cisco removed that concept in a next generation firewall, which is Firepower. They have only inbound ACL, so inbound rules there. So we have already one access group. So let me see what is the configuration of my access list. So the name of my ACL is out, right? So I'll just run access list out. I have this thing only in my ACL. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just write one more statement here for my DMZ server access. Okay. Access list out permit TCP from host is any to host 10.2.2.100, which is private IP address of my DMZ server. Okay. And let me go with the port only. So here I'll use only port number 80. Okay. I am done with my ACL configuration also. So okay, so if now I'll open my browser, and here if I try to type the IP address of that particular host, which is 149, right? 192.168.1.149. I'm getting my DMZ server. Okay. So if I check my ASA, so I'll check my connection entry here. Okay, so con. I'm having a connection for that, right? And I am also having one exilate entry. Okay. So exilate. See, I am having one exilate entry here. Okay. This is a DMZ IP address, and this is the public IP address, which is translated on this IP address, right? So you just notice one thing here. So run access list. I have only included port number 80, right? But in DMZ server, we are also running telnet service, and we are also running SSS service, right? These two services also available here. So if I try to access the DMZ server on these services from my outside router, okay? So this is my inside, this is my outside router, okay? So if I run that telnet on port number on IP address 192.168.1.149, see, my telnet is not working. So what I need to do now here with the ACL? Anyone? Any idea on that? It is dropping by the ASA firewall, because the traffic coming from low security level to high security level. Nadeem, are you able to get it that point here?
No, sir.
Okay, the thing is, see, for providing the access on port number 80, what we need? We write one ACL right here.
Yes.
So if we want to allow the telnet traffic, now what we need to do? We also need to write one ACL for telnet, right? The same
Yes.
statement. So we will do the same thing. So what we just copy this thing, okay? Here, and here you can write the port number of telnet, or you can also type that thing, okay? Both will work. Telnet,
Okay.
both will work. Generally, I'll have a habit of writing the port number always. I don't need to like to write these telnet and SHS over there. So see, right now I have opened one ACL, right? So run
Mm-hmm.
XLSS for telnet. So if this time I have tried the telnet access, I can get the telnet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got the idea.
Yes, sir.
If we want to allow the traffic from low security level to high security level, definitely we need to open one ACL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now the thing is, we are also having the SHS service, right, on our DMZ server. So we have opened the port on port 80. We already opened the port telnet. Now let me also open the SHS port over there to provide the SHS access. Okay. So now you see, we can configure multiple services on one IP address, right? On one server
Yes.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is also possible. Okay. So now I have opened one more port for SHS. So if this time I have tried, let me open my PuTTY here in my system. So if I'll enter IP address 192.168.1.149 on SHS, okay, definitely I'll get the access. Yes, yes, and here I am getting the access. So I'll just enter the username and password, which is admin, and password is Cisco. I'm getting my DMZ server, right? So that is the way how we can provide the access to outside users if we have any DMZ server in our network. Okay, these are the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now there is also we have one more case. Now what is that case? Let's suppose we are having around four multiple servers here on DMZ. Okay, so let's suppose I am having also one more network in my DMZ, which is 10.2.3.0. Okay, slash 24. So I am running the web service on IP address 100, 10.2.3.100. Okay, it is running web service 80. I am also running the telnet service on port number this IP address 101, and I am running the SS service on IP address 102, and the port number is 22. Let's suppose we have this kind of scenario now. Okay, so let me write it in a right way here. Let's suppose I am having this one 10.2.3.100 running the service 80. Okay, I am also having the 10.2.4.100. Okay, I am just changing the IP address on port number 23. It is running web service. Okay, it is running telnet service, and we also have one more network or one more server having the IP address 4 dot not 4 here, it is having the 5.100. Okay, and it is running the service which is 22 SHS. Okay, so how we can configure that kind of scenario in our one router? So you just put your focus over there. So I'll just going into my DMZ server. That is the like way how we can increase our topology and all. Okay, to configure different kind of services, to test our different cases regarding a concept. Okay, so I'll just add some loopback over there. Okay, I have added one loopback 0. So loopback 0 means interface L and 0. Okay, after I'll configure the IP address which is 10.2.3.100.255.255.255.0. After it I'll configure the loopback 1 here. Okay, and the IP address is 10.2.4.100. Interface loopback 2, IP address is 10.2.5.100 and 255.255.255.0. So if I'll check my routing table, if I'll check my IP configuration, so IP interface believe, this is the command. Okay, so I'm having these 3 loopback here. Okay, so the thing is, if I'll go to in my ASA firewall, if I'll try to ping these loopback 10.2.4.100, I'm not able to ping. Can you just unmute yourself, man? Actually getting lots of background noise here. Okay, so the thing is I am not able to ping this loopback because I'm not having any route for that into my routing table. Okay, I'm only having the default route. So the thing is ASA sending the traffic, this traffic towards the internet, but this IP address available in my DMZ zone only. So now I have add some static routes. So how I can add route DMZ? I'll define that these IP address like 10.2.3.100, which is reachable 255.255.255.255, which is reachable via 10.2.2.100 IP address of my DMZ router. Okay, I also add that other one which is 4.100 and 5.100. If I'll ping to these guys now, I definitely ping to these guys. Okay, so ping is working for 4.100. Let me try to ping 5.100. It is also working. Let me try to ping 3.100. So it is also working. So now I have a connectivity on that. Now I'll configure the static path. Okay, static path means, let's suppose I am having this public IP address which is 192.168.1 dot.
Sir, we have like static NAT, static PAT,
Yes, now
dynamic NAT, dynamic PAT.
yes, exactly. But
Just
the thing,
4.
yes. But the thing is, dynamic net no one uses. Only people are using dynamic PAT only. That's why I don't show you the configuration with regarding dynamic net. Because you don't see
Okay.
any configuration here. Okay, so just focus on now static PAT. Let's suppose if we have only one public IP and we have 3 servers here, right? So how we can configure the static PAT now? Okay, so let's suppose the IP address is 140. This is the public IP which we get from the ISP. Okay, so the thing is, when our ASA firewall receives any request on this IP address and the port number is 80. So what our firewall do? He just send this request to this server. Okay, 10.2.0.100. If the IP address is same and he just get the request on port number 23, he just send this request towards this server. Okay, 10.2.4.100. Same with the not 22, 23. Okay, same with the 22. And the IP address similar 192.168.1.40. If he get the request on this IP address and port number 22, he just forward this request into this server 10.2.5.100. Okay, now we are going to configure this scenario, because maybe in real time scenario you got that kind of scenarios. Okay, so that's why actually I'm covering that aspect as well. Okay, so let me just start my configuration over there. Configuration is very simple. Okay, so we have configured the static pad only. So object network, I'll give the name DMZ static pad. Okay, we can give this name, or if we want to give some specific name, we can also give this one. Okay, so let me go with some specific name only. Okay, because I need some descriptive name for that as well, like DMZ. I'll just give the IP address like 2.10.2.3.100 on port number 80. Okay, so object network, if he get the request on this like this is a net rule for this particular server which is running web services. Okay, host which is 10.2.3.100. This is the IP address of our inside the DMZ server, and I'll configure the net DMZ2 outside static. So what this is our public IP address, right? 192.168.1.140. Okay, now here we need to define the service. Okay, so how we define the service here? We just use this keyword service TCP, and on port number 80 we use 2 times. Okay, so the thing is, what is the meaning of this thing? If our ASA firewall receives any request on this IP address and service is 80, basically he do the translation for this kind of services on this particular IP address, and this is the service here. Okay, on 80, port number 80. Let me disable this thing for a couple of minutes only and increase this. So we are done our first configuration. If I run this command, so run net, we have this one, right? Now let me write the net rule for other object, right? Which is 23, which is running on port number 4.100. So this is a like same, yeah, 10.2.4.100 on port number 23. Okay, host is 10.2.4.100 net DMZ to outside static IP is similar like 192.168.1.140 service TCP on port number 2323. Overlap with the existing pool. Okay, I think so. Run net. Okay, it is like taking, no worries. It already takes. Okay, so it is just giving that warning message. That's it. Okay, so now let me configure my other server, which is running the SSH service on IP address which is 10.2.5.100. Host is 10.2.5.100. Net DMZ2 outside static 192.168.1.140 service TCP 2222. Okay, like overlap means the thing is, if you configure the patting on router, you need to write the overload keyword here. That's why like it is giving you just a warning. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. So run net. So we have this configuration here, right? So these are our configuration. Now what we need to do, we also need to open the access list, right? For providing the access for this particular server. So I'll just go to my access list, which is out. So access list out permit TCP any means any network from outside, because we don't know the IP address of outside world, right? That public network. That's why to host 10.2.3.100 on a service which is running on port number 80. Okay, so I have opened the ACL for 80. Now I also need to open the access list for telnet, right, which is running on a port number, which is running on a 10.2.4.100, and it is running this telnet service, right? I'll also add the here my another server which is running on a port number 22. Okay, so I have added these three ACL here. These accessless entries here. These are my three accessless entries. Okay. This is for my DMZ servers, which are these servers. Okay. If you are able to see here. Right. So if this time I'll go to in my browser and I'll type 192.168. It is hanged. 192.168 1.140 on port number 80. I got the DMZ access now. Okay. So that is the like way how we can configure the static path. If you want to see here, show connection. So exilate. Let me try to see the exilate as well. So we have these rules right now. These static entries, which is like translating the request which is receiving on port number this on this server. Request coming on port number 23. They are just sending these requests on these servers. Okay. And if I'll go to in my outside here, And if I configure the if I try to telnet on my 192.168.1.140 on this server, I'll get the access of my DMZ server. Okay, so that is these are the like way how we can configure the static patch. Let me also verify my SHS. Okay, so I'll just open my putty over there. Let me also verify the SHS 192.168.1.140. I am also getting the SHS. I get the DMZ server, right? So this is the way how we can configure the SHS. If we have like running SHS and telnet and HTTP services, how we can provide the access to outside world, how we can open the ACL, how we can write the net rules for that. Okay. So now we have completed with our net configuration on ASA firewall. Okay. So as I told you just yesterday, now I'll focus on some other concept, which is like packet flow. Okay. So when we complete the packet flow, after that we will see the installation of GNS3. So you can also start doing these kind of labs on your network only. Okay. So if you have any doubt on that thing, you can ask me. Okay. When you do the practical, just follow this video. Definitely you can easily configure these things. Then you get the more idea on that. So anyone have any question on that?
Sir, I have some questions. Like, we have configured static NAT and dynamic pad and dynamic stat, correct?
Yes. So we have configured the.
Uh,
Let me.
So,
So we have configured the dynamic patch. Okay.
okay. So in
After that we
as
have
far as
configured the static net
okay,
and static patch. These three things.
okay.
We have some more net here, but the thing is, if I'll start teaching these net, these become then, guys, it becomes very complex for you, because there is a one
Okay.
where we have one identity net and policy net as well. But the thing is, it becomes very complex for you because these are the CCI level topics. So that's why I'm not going to touch these topics, because
Okay.
these are the main requirements which you need to learn as of now.
Can you just please one more time briefly describe what is dynamic NAT, dynamic pad, and static NAT, static pad?
Yeah, sure. So we have a dynamic net. Okay, dynamic net. It's a like 1-to-1. Okay, so the thing is, if we have 100 users here or 1,000 users here in our inside network. Okay, these are the inside users. So what happens if these users want to send traffic towards the internet? Okay, towards the internet. So the thing is, these are the private IP address, right? They are using private IP only. So we need at least 100 public IP to translate all the users traffic into the internet, because
Mm-hmm.
private IP address is not routable on the internet. We need a public IP or internet routable IP addresses. Okay.
Okay.
So the thing is, if we are going to purchase this 1,000 public IP, these are the like very costly. And if you know,
Okay.
we have limited IP address like 2 की power 32. Around these are the numbers of IP address which is available. Okay. So we have very less public IP address, these IPv4 addresses, right? So the thing is, every company having around one IP address or two IP address or four. It depends on your organization, right? Like a small size organization having 100 users, 200 users, till 1000 users, they may have only two public IP. One for one they have configured in our outside interface, and other one they use for hosting our servers. Okay, like very big organization like Facebook, Microsoft, they have around 1000 public IP addresses because they have offices in lots of locations, right? So they need around these 1000 IP addresses, that public IPs. Okay. So how we can like we can give the solution, how we can provide the solution for this dynamic net issues. So the thing is, people come with a dynamic pet. So the thing is, what happens in dynamic pet if we have 1000 users here or till 64,000 users. So the thing is, we can do the translation for these number of users on one single IP address, one single IP by using PAT. So PAT work on a port address translation. So PAT work on a basis, PAT basically do the translation on the basis of port numbers, right? And we have these much port numbers, right, which belongs from 0 to 6500 65325. Okay, so the thing is, there we have around 0 to 1023. These are the bell known ports, so we can only do the translation till 64,000 users, or we can translate the 64,000 sessions. Okay, if we are using dynamic pat. So this is a like dynamic pat is a one to many.
Okay.
No,
So I
not
have
one to
like
many, it's many to one. Okay, many to one. I always forget. Yeah, go on.
I have like 5,000 users, and then I just need one public IP address so that I can access the internet, correct?
Definitely, definitely. 5,000
Okay.
it will work.
It is,
Okay.
so this is dynamic PAT.
This is dynamic pat. Okay.
Okay. So in dynamic PAT, we are just changing port number, correct?
Yeah, we use the port numbers for doing our translations. Okay.
Okay. Source IP, destination IP.
Yeah, yeah.
Source port will be some random
Yeah,
port.
yeah. The
Destination
thing is,
port
what
will be
happens?
a specific port.
Yeah, what happens in this pat? If like this is the like this is our inside user 100.
Mhm.
It is going to send some request towards this public IP on port number
Mhm.
80, and this is the source port. Source port. This is the destination port. This is the destination IP, and this is the source IP. Okay, so what happened
Okay.
to after patting, that IP header become this way, like 192.168.1.250. This is our public IP in our case, right? Destination is become same. This is the source IP. This is the destination IP, and the destination port become same. And we only translate this one into any IP address, any port, like for 1213455, anyone. It's this value basically belongs between
Okay.
10242 to 64,000. Okay. The thing is, we do this
Okay.
port randomization. Maybe in case of router, they basically somebody using this port only. So what happens? Maybe they use the same port here, 1234 only. In case of router, okay, I am only talking about here firewall, because firewall do the port randomization for protecting us with the session hijacking. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the PAT. After that, we have a static net, right? What happen in static net is a one to one. One to one means if we have a DMZ server, like this is our DMZ server 10.2.2.100. So what we do, we configure the translation let's suppose we have, this is our public IP address 1.149. So the thing is, when our ASA firewall receives any request on this IP address, he basically translates these requests into this IP. Okay, and also one more thing, it's like bidirectional. Bidirectional means if this user send any request towards the internet, the ASA also
Mhm.
translate this IP into this IP. This is a bidirectional. Okay.
So same IP.
Yeah, same IP. If this server send any request towards the outside, ASA translates this IP into this IP address. Okay. If ASA receives any request on this IP address, he translates this IP into this IP. It's a bidirectional. Okay.
So like private or public?
Yeah. Public. If like we are if like this is this if like we are sending traffic from inside to outside, then our private IP translated into the public IP. Okay. If we are
Okay.
receiving the request on outside interface, then
Mhm.
we are just translating our public IP into private IP address. Okay. It's a bidirectional net.
So it's just 101. It's like dynamic NAT, correct?
Yes. No. What happens in dynamic net? We can only do the translation in from this direction. We can't do the translation from this direction.
So in dynamic NAT, we can just send from local area network to outside,
To
correct?
outside only. Okay.
Okay.
We can't
But
send any
in
traffic
static
from
NAT,
this. It's a bidirectional, so we can send the traffic on both directions.
okay. So I think this one is also used very rare, correct?
No, this one.
Yeah, static
People
NAT.
use this one always, man. Not very rare. Always.
But we need one for one private IP. We need one public IP, correct?
Yes. What happens? Generally, people having few servers only. Okay, not much server. Maybe they have 4 servers, so they can purchase the 4 public IP address. They can host.
Okay.
Okay, the cost of 4 public IP is not much.
Okay. Okay. So we usually give one server, one IP address, correct?
Yes, correct. And also there
Okay.
is one more thing. When we configure that static pet, not static
Mhm.
pet, that dynamic pet, it is a like source net. Okay, because we are only changing the source IP address, right?
Mhm.
When we are initiating any traffic from this direction towards this. In case of dynamic pet, it's a like source net. It is also known as a source net. Okay. The thing is, this is known as a both like source net. We are sending the traffic from inside to outside, and the destination net, which is we are sending any traffic from outside to DMZ.
So it's like bi-directional, you said,
Yeah, it's
correct?
a bidirectional. Sometimes what happens, we also have one more flavor here, which is known as a dynamic net only. Sorry, not dynamic, this destination net only. Okay. So what happened in destination net? If like this is my server, 2 2.2.100. Okay. And this is my public IP 192.168.1.149. Sometimes we can also configure the destination net only. Okay. So what happens? ASA only received the request on this IP address, and he just forward these requests onto this IP on this private IP address. That's it. In case of destination net, it is like similar to source net. We,
Okay.
we don't use much destination net, but the thing is, in different vendors, like they have different kind of implementation. It depends on your requirement. So these kind of things basically decided by the network architect. Okay, you are not a guy who can decide these things. You only need to configure this kind of steps there.
Okay. So in static NAT also the port number changes or no?
Yeah, definitely. If we want to change the port, see, the thing is, I also yesterday told you that port forwarding, right?
Yeah.
We can also configure this kind port forwarding as well here. Okay, on static in case of static pet,
Okay.
but
So like
default static net, port number will not change. Okay, Port randomization only happen in case of dynamic PAT.
Okay.
If you remember yesterday when I was show you that how the traffic, like how the packet is exchanging, like this is the packet format here and what is the packet format after the net, right? I have already shown that thing. I have not changed any port number in case of static PAT, right, or static net. Okay.
Okay. So what is the main difference between static NAT and static pad? Because
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you.
in
Tell you.
dynamic pad,
Okay.
the traffic can go from internal to external.
Yeah.
But whereas
Like,
in static net, traffic can be bidirectional, correct?
yeah. In static net, what happens? We have this server, right?
Yeah.
And we have one public IP 192.168.1.149. It's like 1 to 1. A static net is a
Yeah.
1 to 1. Only
Yeah.
we need one public IP for hosting one private server.
Okay.
And in case of a static PAT, if we have like multiple servers, like 10.2.2.101, 10.2.2.102, like this is the server running on port number 80. This is the telnet server. This is the SMTP server. Okay. So what happens? We configure now a static pad. So if we get the request on port number 80, so he forward the request, ASA forward request on this one. If he get the request, the IP address is same and the port number 23, he send the request on this server. Okay. For 25, he send the request on this server. IP address is this. Right? So it's a like kind of a static pad. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, no problem. So I'm just going to stop this topology now and we will see the other things, right? So let me show you the installation of ASA. After that we will see the packet flow. Okay.
So static pad, you said from 1 to 1, correct?
No man, a static PAT is like 1 to 1 is a static net. What happens in static
Okay.
PAT? We are just patting multiple servers on one public IP
Okay.
on the basis of port numbers. Okay. When
Okay.
you configure by yourself, definitely you got the better idea.
So in static pad, many to one public, correct?
Yeah, always PAT is a many to one. Not many to one. Always PAT is a many to one. Okay, and NAT is a 1 to 1.
Okay. So always NAT is 1 to 1, PAT is
1 to 1.
many to one. Okay.
Yeah, many to one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I have already shared some links right on YouTube today. So if you have opened these links, you got these two images. Okay, on one link, and the one by using one another link you got the this GNS3. Okay, so how we can install the GNS3? It is like very easy. Just double click over there. Yes, just next, next, next. You just select all the things here. You need to disable the SolarWinds response. Okay. Okay, so you, and also if you don't want that Wireshark installed, that time if you have Wireshark already in your system, that time you also unselect this one. Otherwise you can just make it select this one also. But I have that Wireshark, so I don't want to install this again. Okay, and so you need to just deselect these two. If you are not having the Wireshark installed in your system, so you need to also keep it select. Okay, and just go to next, install here. I already also have this bin keeping. That's why I'm getting this error. So you just ignore this one. Okay. Because I am having already installed these stuffs in my system. That's why I'm getting these errors. you don't get any kind of these errors. Okay, so now you just complete the installation today only, because after that you just start your labs. Okay, because you have this Saturday Sunday, if you are like have time, then you can complete some, at least some of the labs on these days. Yeah, you select no. Next, you just deselect it. Okay, start GNS3, just finish it. So you may redirect towards the GNS3 website. So you just close this website. Okay, let me also close this thing. Going to actually, let me disable my events as well. I will also share that Eve software, okay, with you, but I'll need some time to upload this. This has like very high size, around 50 GBs. Okay, so when you are done with the installation, you definitely get this shortcut here for GNS3. Okay, so you just double click over there and just leave it. You got this page, so you just select here. Don't show this again and close. Just it is like connecting to server, so you just cancel it. Just no here. Okay, you don't need to upgrade, but that is a very stable version. So you just disclose these things like this one and this one as well. Okay, and this one as well. Okay, so you got this kind of things here. So now I am going to import my images on the GNS3. How I can import? I just go to in edit, preferences here. First I go to into DiamPace and iOS router. New here, browse. Okay, so I'll just go to into my displays. Okay, into desktop, ASA class. So you have to go to in the same folder, ASA image folder. Okay, and you need to select this image first. This is a router image. Okay, you just press in your case yes here. I am just pressing no here because I am already having. Next. In slot, you need to first select the input output 2FE here and input output 2FE TX here, and here also 2FE TX. Next, you just click here idle PC finder only one time and wait for couple of minutes here. It takes around 1 minute to calculate the ideal value. If you don't like select this idle PC value, that time maybe this GNS3 heat up your CPU and RAM. Okay, so if you do that, basically you can't, now in that case it takes the like only minimum CPU and RAM. Okay, so you just get this value here, just select OK and finish and apply. Okay, so by this you have imported the router image. So you just go to this place, select this image. Okay, and just right click on this and just start this image. Okay, so it is like now starting, and you just click on a console. So you got the console for this. So like it is rebooting. So this is the like way how you can configure the router image on a GNS3. Okay, so it is like saying press return to get the started. So you just press some clicks here. Now you got the router image here. Okay, so now you can do your configuration on a router. Okay, So I am just stopping this right now. I will show you how we can import the ASMS. So let me delete this one. Okay. So if you want to select the router always, you can select from here, this place only. Okay. Click here, you got the router always. Now just again go to into edit, preferences here. Now this time you need to go to into QMO. Okay. New here. Type is ASA 8.4. Next. 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 So here you need to select the initial RAM disk init.rd image. Okay. So when you go to in the same place where you have downloaded this folder and go to into this folder, you have this one, this image like init.rd. Just select this image first. Open. Yes. Now you need to also browse the kernel image, which is BM Linux. Okay. So you just go to into that same place, AS image, and you can select this time this kernel BM Linux image. Okay. Yes. Finish. Apply. Done. So now you have also added the ASA here. Okay. So if you want to see the ASA, you need to click on this guy. So you have ASA here. Okay. So you just select the ASA. Now you just select the router. Another router. And other one here. Okay. And you just connect. So if you want to connect these devices, you need to select the cable from here. Okay. Connect this interface with this interface. This one with inside router. And this interface with the DMZ router. Okay. And you can also, if you want to write the name, you can select this one. Okay. And you can write the name like inside. Okay. Outside. It depends on you how you wanna like DMZ. If you want coloring, you can select this part. Okay. Like let me delete. Okay, that is enough. So now you just start all the devices. Start. This one also you can start. Double click and select the click on a console here. So you got the console of ASA. For that, if you are using the GNS3 for ASA, it takes around 2-3 minutes to come. Okay, so you have to wait till 2 or 3 minutes after starting the ASA firewall. Okay, by this you can get all the routers console. Okay, and you can also get the console by double clicking on it. So you have to wait till 5-6 minutes or 3-4 minutes after it. This ASA also comes. So after it, you can start your start configuration of ASA firewall, that IP address and all. Okay. So I hope you guys complete the ASA installation today, because I already shared the links to download these images as well as the ASA, that GNS3. So you can just download and install it in your system. Okay.